this part on half and half. Do this part on half and half. We will discuss with love and laugh. We will discuss with love and laugh. One of our favorite shows that mean so much to us. You know we had to show love. We had to show love. We will recap every episode. Talk about all the jokes that were told. Maybe even get a little tea. Tune in and see.
Hello, and welcome to the Big Half and Half Rewatch podcast, the only podcast where every year you can expect a fruitcake and a death threat as we rewatch the 2002 to 2006 UPN sitcom Half and Half. I'm Barrett.
And I am Myles.
That's Myles, and we have recorded this like 10 times, and it always cuts out just with him saying his name. So maybe this will be the final cut, because I don't know if I can keep doing this. But you know what you're watching or listening to. So yeah. Anyway, go on, Myles.
Yes, indeed, I am Myles, regardless of if the sound will work to allow me to say that or not. How you doing?
I'm okay. It's just thrown me off, so I don't even know what comes up next. Is this the end? Do we have anything else to talk about?
We're just getting started. All right.
Okay, great. What episode is this we're going to be discussing today, Myles?
This is the Big Ex-pectations episode. The Big Ex-pectations episode.
Expectations, which
right.
aired November 11th, 2002. Take me back. That's a long time ago. And today I decided to switch it up a little bit. Again, I'm just going to steal all of my ideas from Telma's podcast, Welcome to the Family, because the one I just listened to, hilarious, by the way, Kelly was kind of just going down the list of R&B songs that were number one at that time. So I was like, oh, I think I'll do the same. So the number one song for R&B was Nellyville. This is the albums, not the song. Nellyville by Nelly. And number two is 8 Mile and R&B. Maybe this is hip hop and R&B because I don't think that soundtrack.
Oh yeah, it's probably the both combined chart hip hop and R&B.
Oh yeah, because they didn't used to be separated.
Yeah,
which I think I also learned on Welcome to the Family. Telma's just teaching everybody. And then hilarious, Misunderstood back when Pink was Blackpink, not the Blackpink we have now. And I don't know if she would still be on R&B today, but personally, I preferred that Pink to the new Pink. But at least she's doing what she wants to do now, not what L.A.
Pink can do. Exactly. And in my eyes, Pink can do no wrong because she wasn't trying to do nothing. The stuff she did before, it was forced upon her, but she still killed it. Thanks to shout out to Candy, who was writing off most of them hits. And then new Pink, I still love the alternative pop vibes that she brings us. Pink always gives us the good energy, man. Usually we talk about Kelly Clarkson because we've been doing the whole number one song had been Kelly Clarkson for forever since we started this pod. And recently Pink took over the Kelly Clarkson show while she took a little break. And I've been loving that. I think she's trying to throw her hat into the ring to take over the show since Kelly is going to retire after this season. So I would love to see a Pink daytime show.
I don't remember who the actress was. I think she's on Bridgerton, and she was talking about how she loved Pink songs and she was naming Kelly Clarkson songs. I didn't even catch it. I was thinking they were Pink songs. And I was like, wait a minute. Embarrassing.
Man.
But did you think Pink was black when she first came out? Because I did. I really honestly thought she was a black.
I was like, she got to be it. Because I know somebody like her. I got a cousin like her who's just like, their daddy really light skinned. Mama might be
Sandra on the Cosby Show. So, I really thought she was Pink. Then when she switched it up, I was like, wait a minute. So that's why I call her Black Pink. And number 4 was the Definitive Collection, Stevie Wonder. Okay, Stevie, I see you.
Okay.
And then number 5 was Ashanti by Ashanti. So those are my fun facts because everything else in the news and whatnot around that time was about bombings and things. And we got enough of that going on in 2026. So I wanted to
Those comes around.
Yeah, pretty much. But before we move on to the show at hand, Myles, I'm sure you got a little rap for the people, so take it away.
I do indeed. Here we go. Dee Dee starts falling for a new man, but when Mona sees him, it's deja vu again. Turns out he took her virginity, and she starts to want him back. Now Dee Dee's the enemy. So they got to choose him or each other, and to make it even worse, they got to hear from their mothers. So here we go. It's time to start the show. Thank you.
And for y'all that are watching this, assuming this makes it to YouTube at some point, I can dance and I do have rhythm, but it's hard to dance when there's no beat. So that's why I'm a
Yeah,
little off over here because ain't no beat. It's in my head.
yeah.
But this episode, I have to start at the top and bring up Beyond the Gates. It's relevant. It is relevant, okay?
It's very relevant.
It
This
really
is
is.
our time to shine.
Yes. So finally, I have a real reason to bring it up other than my obsession.
That's
And
right.
I didn't even realize it when Keith Robinson came on to Beyond the Gates because he is the second person to play Ted Richardson. It didn't even click that it was Neil. It really didn't. But in watching it now, I see Ted, of course, as that's who he
Hmm.
plays, but he is Neil, Dee Dee's boyfriend and Mona's ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
And just, the similarities of the characters of Ted and Neil are there for those that watch. Both of them are very successful and they are very attentive to their women and thoughtful. I mean, Ted is, he has his own issues with that, but aside from that, he was, pretty decent. And I
Right.
definitely feel like Ted is who Neil would have become in the
Mhm.
show. Definitely, they're very aligned, very much so. So it was very interesting to kind of feel like I'm seeing like, I don't know, like a prequel because Dee Dee is kind of similar to Nicole in a way, very
Mhm.
affluent and everything. So it was very interesting to see that dynamic. And of
Right.
course, I'm always going to want to see my Beyond the Gates people anywhere I can. So that was pretty interesting. You had a fun fact you found out about him as well.
Yeah, I had no idea, and I grew up a really big Power Rangers fan. Shout out to Walter, the first the Black Power Ranger, but I didn't know we had more Black Power Rangers, and Keith was one of them. I had no idea this man was the Green Ranger, and that was like his first job. Like he came, apparently, like he started doing music and he was signed to Motown, but that didn't really produce what they wanted it to produce or whatever. So then he started acting, and his first job he got was as the Green Ranger in Power Rangers. This was a shock to me. It was after I had stopped watching because I think honestly, when Walter and a few other cast members left, now that I know as an adult due to contract dispute, I didn't know where they went as a child, but now I know it was due to some contract issues. When they left, I left, so I wasn't around for the Keith era of Power Rangers. But man, shout out to him. That's crazy.
I did not know that one, and I really don't think I knew that there was another Black Ranger other than the lady whose name escapes me, who eventually became the Yellow Ranger, because those are the ones you see on social media. So I was like, oh, it's just them. So
Yeah,
very shocking to hear that Ted Richardson was also a Power Ranger,
yeah.
aka Keith. But it
He got
was
a real solid career though. I mean,
he's done a lot. And is this
yeah,
like a pipeline, Motown to Hollywood? Because Thelma started at Motown and
yeah,
Yvette Nicole Brown, I don't believe she started with Motown, but she also originally was, thinking she'd be a singer and had
yeah.
a contract like seems like that's a common theme. I don't know about white actors, but black actors seems like a lot of them start out singing and then end up acting.
Which shows just how talented we be out here in these streets, guys. We can do it all. Like to hear the kid's story, like he wasn't even contemplating acting until music wasn't going the way he wanted it to go, and somebody just randomly suggested it on a whim, and he just ended up doing it like accidentally almost, and he became the Black Power Ranger. Like I mean, the Green Power Ranger with like very little experience. I don't. He said I just watched the YouTube of him. He didn't even have headshots when he had the audition. Like he had his homeboys just shoot some pictures in a random location. He didn't even know what a headshot was, and he ended up booking the job. So that just shows you how naturally talented we are out here, guys.
And again, I was just finishing earlier today the recent episode of Telma's podcast, and they had Loretta Devine on there, who you all may have
Yes,
seen on your show,
yes,
Actor A,
indeed.
the
Love me
Valley
some Loretta.
Pettiford as well, and Thelma Hopkins. They've also been on there if you all missed those episodes where we discussed it. But they were having a similar conversation, and Loretta was basically saying, like, a lot of black actors that are well known, they didn't go to school. They don't need school for that. She's like, we act every day in life. And so many of us can sing and dance and do all these things. So we just have the talent naturally built in a lot of times, and we make a lot of things better, such as music and sports and whatnot. And that is true. Sorry, that's just a fact.
True.
So
It's
there, of
crazy, but the
course, is
truth.
going to be crossover. I mean, not everybody's meant to be a singer and an actor, Beyonce, but no shade. But a lot of singers, I think, definitely like look at Eve. I just
Yeah.
saw a clip yesterday of Missy Elliott, which I don't remember being on the Wayans Brothers, and that was hilarious.
Hmm.
And seeing a
We
lot of
just
clips
had
of,
DMX on here
yeah, like,
on half and half. Like,
I mean, Brandy, obviously,
right.
which is interesting that she didn't want to do
My
Thea
number
because
one.
she wanted to sing more, only to then do another sitcom. And Countess
Yeah.
Vaughn was a singer. She won Star
Yeah.
Search for singing and then went to
Yeah.
227. Like, it really seems like there's a lot of overlap. And since he won his Grammy, I've been seeing a lot of clips of Duran and,
Hmm.
us having done little web series and stuff 20 years ago, when we knew each other on YouTube. He's hilarious. So he's somebody that I could definitely see like acting and not just
Yeah.
singing. So maybe I don't know, something about being a singer, maybe that opens up that party. I don't know. Any singers out there care to respond? I feel like I'm an actor first and a singer second. No, that's not me doing our theme song, but I did used to dabble. But yeah, so he's a singer, Telma's a singer, Valerie's a singer. I don't
Yeah.
know if Essence and Rachel sing, but Chico sings because allegedly that was him singing Have a Seat on My Love from the
Hmm.
last episode. That's what I'm being told. I have not been corrected. So I
Okay.
guess the whole cast can sing. Maybe not Rachel. I don't know if that's Mona's voice or her voice we hear, but
Right.
very fascinating concept. But yeah, it starts out back at Lush Lounge, their favorite place. I'm gonna have to keep track how many times they go there. And we get to
Yeah.
see Tina again. Did you notice the callback in the first scene
What was the callback?
when he's ordering for her
Oh,
and
because she did that same. Yeah, that was the
Mhm.
first thing that came to mind was when they doing the same bit of the whole extremely overly complicated order and Tina dealing with their bullshit and having to take it. It was a hilarious bit. And then it was made even funny
Mhm.
because he was ordering for her in the overly complicated way that she usually orders, and then she chimed in and also made it even more complicated with her little extra 2 cent. And by the time she did that, Tina was over it, and I loved it.
I feel like I appreciate that type of stuff because I know most people will not notice that. I don't
Yeah,
know if I would have noticed if we hadn't just watched it, for this.
right.
So I love those little Easter eggs, and it really makes the characters feel more real and makes it all feel more lived in. Because this did not feel like episode 8. This could have been,
Yeah,
season 3, which just goes to the quality of the show with those little
yeah,
things. And they didn't have a lot of like official catchphrases or things that they would do, but a lot of stuff would get worked in. Even in this episode, we get
right.
a let me tell you what I think. You know what I think, that type of thing.
Yeah,
And I was in my head, I was hearing her saying, you know what I told you? I tell you what I told you. She did it. But if you said, what's Phyllis's catchphrase, most people wouldn't even think of that necessarily, but she does
right.
say it a lot. And I
Yeah,
think Half and Half does it in a way to where it's not like, did I do that? Where it's just like constantly, because people in real life have little things they say all the time. Just ask
yeah,
Manny, my husband, who I love to mock, imitate. He says mock. I say imitate. It's flattery because he says a lot of the same stuff. So that makes them feel like real people to me. So
yeah.
thank you to the writers who I meant to mention, and I did write it down. This was written by, oh my God, I'm such a liar. No, I have it. I know I have it because I just looked at it. So unprepared. I wrote it down. Okay, I'm going to remember. It was Jeffrey Cleric was one, and Bill, I want to say
Fuller.
Fuller, and Jim Pond.
Yep,
Oh, I
yep.
remember. R.I.P. to Jim Pond, by the way.
Oh no.
But I'm pretty sure they're all white men. So again, interesting to see that they wrote this. I don't know how I feel about that line about fighting in public being ghetto, but I'm sure there were some black writers in the writers' room though.
Yeah. But yeah, it was really funny. I loved when Tina walked away pissed off per usual, and she was like, "Please God, don't let them reproduce." Like, let Tina be over their bullshit. I hope they tip her well. At least she got all that money. She better
Well, I
tip
guess
nice.
not. Since at the end she's like, I added gratuity in case you stiff me. So maybe
Yeah,
they don't tip her well. I
yeah.
personally would not want to eat there because I'd be afraid she would do something to my
I
food.
wouldn't trust it, but
But that's
but
just
again,
me.
because if that's how you are everywhere, you're gonna eventually have to go somewhere twice anyway. So I guess they gave up on moving spots and just got to stick it out and hope that they just know you and understand your nonsense.
I mean, with Dee Dee, I can kind of see it, but she's like that with everybody, so I guess
Yeah,
it's not personal. But this, after that scene where they're presenting the gifts and everything, and the little swizzle stick, Do you find that to be, in your relationship, is that something you do? Do you like little mementos and little memories,
I
or do you
do.
want like gifts?
I mean, I like both. My thing is, it was they were celebrating their 2 week anniversary, and I'm like, they always do this on TV shows. Do anybody actually celebrate like a 2 week
Yeah.
anniversary or three? Like they always celebrate like an off amount of time. It's never just like a 1 month, 6 month, year. It's
You
always like a weird
know,
amount of time.
my boyfriend that I had when I was in my early 20s, I feel like we did that. So maybe that aligned with Dee Dee because she
Maybe
was
it's the
in her
early
early
20s.
20s.
You just so lovey dovey, like in that little
Maybe
young
so.
era.
Because at
Yeah,
this point, we can never remember how many years we've been married.
literally. And no
We're like, wait a
idea.
minute, was it 2021? Wait, was 2002? I'm pretty sure
It's
it's
so
about to
hard to
be
remember.
five, I think.
Right. It's hard to remember dates and times and all kind of stuff. So maybe I guess when you get older, that stuff doesn't hit the same. But yeah, maybe I guess when you're young and in your 20s, you celebrate every week because every week is a monumental life stone.
Yeah, and that was sweet, I guess. I think that's something that I maybe would have done if I hadn't been so jaded prior to meeting my husband. Because it's like I'm not about to collect all this shit and I ain't even gonna see you no more. What's the point of that? But we did go back to the restaurant on one of our anniversaries where we had our first date, and I took one of the menus. They let me have it. I would have taken it if they
Oh,
said no,
right.
but I asked, so I was able to get a menu so that
I
I
like
could,
that.
remember it. But yeah, I would think I'd rather have a real gift in association with that. Like, oh, that's cute,
Yeah.
but I need a real gift too. But
I like to split the difference. I like to do something like you said, where like we go to the place where we went before, or we do a thing that we did like several years before or
yeah, I
on a
like that
date
type
or
of shit too.
anniversary. But then like yeah, like as far as like the actual gift, give me something fresh probably. I
Yeah,
don't want an
but
old straw that I just chewed on that one day.
yeah, especially
First of
when
all,
he
like, how
got
did
some
he
corn.
even get get it? Where did like imagine the what it must have been like for him to sneakily confiscate that without her noticing? It just seems weird.
Yeah, I
But
mean, I think I still have like a rose or something from when he sent me flowers when we first started dating at
yeah,
work
I
or
mean
something like
that makes
that.
sense.
But I don't know if I would present that as a gift. I don't know.
Yeah,
I would be creeped out probably, especially as a
yeah,
woman. Like, why do you have my DNA? What are you about to do?
yeah.
But maybe in 2002, since there was no My 23 and Me and all that, there's not
Right.
much he could have done. Maybe look her up in CODIS for my Forensic Files fans out there. But
True.
it was still cute.
I
And
also thought it was cute that like he pretended he didn't know it was the anniversary, and he was like
yeah, that was the good one.
surprised
He
when she
got
gave him
me.
the
Like,
gift.
I hadn't seen this. I was
Yeah,
like, oh, shit.
same. Yeah, and then he was like, "Oh," but then his little alarm went off, and ding, 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 and then it was a reminder for him saying, which I don't know what kind of phone he had to begin reminders of this
I think
nature in
it was a
2002.
Palm Pilot. That's what I'm gonna
Okay, so
assume.
yeah, so I guess he had a Palm Pilot, and the Palm Pilot went off and told him that it was the 2 week anniversary, and it was time to present his gift to Dee Dee, and he did that, and that was a real little sweet moment. I like that.
That was cute. And when they came back with the next scene with Mona, I thought that was a nice little milestone. They kind of didn't make a big deal out of it, but when Dee Dee comes and tells her about this new guy, she wants her to meet her. The fact that she wanted Mona's opinion, I was like, oh, that's so
Yeah,
sweet. That's so
I thought
nice.
that was nice too. I thought that was nice too.
Really
What was funny
progressive.
was when she came in, for whatever we know, Mona is on a budget. So when Dee Dee busted in her apartment, and as I like to say, like the Kool-Aid man,
Hmm.
Mona was drinking a Kool-Aid jammer. So I had
I
to
didn't
bust one
even
out.
notice that.
I did because we have them in the house for kids. So I was like, why is her old ass drinking a Kool-Aid jammer? But in honor of her, I'm gonna also drink a Kool-Aid jammer during this episode because I thought that was crazy. Uh,
See, when I have children, I'm just gonna have to get them stuff I don't like, cause I would just eat and drink all they shit, cause I like it too. So I'm gonna have to just
well,
figure out the
that's
flavors that I don't like, and that's what they get maybe.
I
Cause
have no hesitation feeding into all of their nonsensical taste because, like you said, I like all of it, and my girl hates it because she was like you. She was like, I don't get none of it, that, so I don't have to, because I know I would want it too much, so I don't put it in the house. But I came into the house and I brought all of it, so now we got we had Kool Aid, we got Kool Aid jammers, we got all the fun,
do they not
ridiculous
have
treats that
them
are
in the
bad for me.
like little bottle plastic things anymore? Are they only in pouches now?
The little jugs.
Yeah, that like twists off at the top. They don't do that?
Capri Sun is like that. I mean, not Capri Sun. Sunny D are like that. But
But not the
yeah,
Kool-Aid ones from the 90s.
mostly everything else is in these little pouches. I guess I don't know if it's cheaper, easier. I don't
Damn,
know.
that was the whole point in Mondo's, but don't get me started.
Yeah,
Um, so they are, Spencer is there being a fucking creep as usual.
this was my favorite creepy Spencer. I'm not sure why the lines just hit for me. Like every one of them. I don't know. This was peak creepy Spencer for me. I appreciated it.
You appreciated wanting them to have an incestuous threesome.
That part, it was just
It's
so
like,
funny because
Spencer, come on now, man. What are we doing here?
so first of all, like he was on one from jump because when she came in ranting about how great he was, and then he was like, "What is he doing that I can't do? Like how great is he? Whatever." And then she was like, "Well, first of all, like he got a this job, he got a house here, he does, and he where he drives a Lexus when the Jag clashes with his suit." And then Spencer was like, "See, I knew he couldn't dress."
I I don't know. Like Spencer is an interesting young man, I'll say, but the disgust on Dee Dee's face, that I mean, Essence Atkins is a wonderful actress, so I'm sure she was acting, but that really looked like she was really
Yeah,
disgusted, like for
yeah,
real.
yeah,
She looked appalled. So I appreciate that they do call him out because a lot of shows they would just breeze past it like it's nothing, but they always are quick to let him know he's disgusting. So I guess that
yeah.
makes it okay.
Yeah,
But
I will say, I mean, she set him up so perfectly with the whole like line of like, "You're my sister, and I want to share this great guy with you." It was the perfect line for him to hear, "Share this great guy with you," and it just his mind goes straight to threesome. Like
you
that
know,
was
I can
very.
kind of see that. I can see that. So I'll
She
get
she
my little
she set
gavel.
him
I'll
up with that
allow.
one. Like usually he be reaching and like he be doing it out of nowhere, but she set him up with that line.
And I'm surprised that Mona was so into it. I guess I'm after her getting beat up so much in the last few episodes, I'm just expecting her to have low self-esteem at all times because I was
Right?
thinking she'd be all like, "Oh, I don't want to. I'm nervous." But she's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." So that was nice.
Yeah.
And then, cut to them being in the apartment and she's, wondering how she looks when it's not about her. But Dee Dee did look sickening in that little dress. I was like, okay.
She was looking amazing. And maybe that's why I understood Horny Spencer this episode because they be looking great, man. So I was like, and then that
He was
dress,
giving
she was
body.
showing out. The body was bodying. Funny enough, right before that, at the end of the last scene, we got my favorite Horny Spencer line was when she said like Dee Dee said she was gonna make him maybe wait if Mona didn't like him, she was gonna make him wait a few more days before she opened up the candy store, if you know what I mean. And then Spencer heard it and he was like, "You women just talk dirty," and I like that.
I'm actually
I,
surprised that she was waiting. Not that I think she's some type of, person that would, jump into bed on the first date, but
right?
I guess I just assume that that's just what straight people do, that they just be down to fuck all the time. I know
Yeah,
that's what they think about us. Hell, maybe that's what I think about everybody. That if you really like somebody at a certain age, I mean, we didn't
yeah,
do that, but I think if the chemistry is just that
right.
palpable and it's been weeks or whatever, I guess I just feel like that seems like a long time. I don't know. I guess I just assume that people are not waiting because most people don't, and that when you say you are, it's like, what are you waiting for? Like Joan, maybe, I don't know if I mean this in real life or TV, but like Joan with her, was it 3-month rule, you would have thought she said 3 years. So I was surprised that Dee Dee, didn't, because hey, we're young, we're cute, whatever, got our own place, why not? But that's nice to know that not everybody, I mean, there are times in the show where they do that, but it's not all the time. And I almost feel like because she likes him so much, that's why she's waiting. And in hindsight,
Got
the
that
times
too.
that I waited, I guess it was because I like him. And if it was like, whatever, then I probably was doing the opposite. So I'm telling on myself here. But I appreciate though that
Yeah,
they were not trying to over sexualize it and make it seem like that's what everyone does and that's what you have to do. Sometimes you
yeah,
can just court, and it doesn't
yep.
have to be that way, like many shows make it seem. So kudos to you, Jeffrey and company.
Agreed.
especially because it's men. So you would think a man would be writing it like that. So even better. And of course, Big Dee Dee emerges. For once, we don't have to wait till the third act to see
Yeah.
Big Dee Dee. And she has another nickname for Mona, Squash Blossom. Where did they come up with this shit? I didn't even know Squash Blossom, but I guess maybe they do.
Yeah, I
I don't
didn't know
know.
that either.
But the pin that she points out, which it seemed very farcical to me previously on shows when people would do that type of stuff, but Manny's able to do that. We'll be watching something and he's like, "Oh, that's from that collection and this person in this year." And I'm like,
Mhm.
"How do you even know that? It just looks like
Right.
a belt to me." So
Same.
somebody like Big Dee Dee, that's believable. And with inflation, that pen would cost $1,351.40 today. 750 was already a lot, but damn, I don't. Good
In a
for you.
couple of weeks.
Yeah, good for you. Wouldn't be me after
Yeah.
some weeks, but good for you. I guess he got it like that. So
Yeah.
I suppose the swizzle stick wasn't cutting it. But Big Dee Dee, she tried not to be on her Kool-Aid shit. She did knock, but they
Yeah,
took too
she
long.
did.
So then, oh yeah, and they had to bust up
Yeah.
in. But she wants to meet him too. What convenient timing.
It
So,
was perfect.
do you think that's a lot for 2 weeks that you're meeting the mother and the sister?
And the sister at the same time, like, can I at least like can we stagger this? Like
I mean, it
what?
just seems uh, too fast, but he didn't take it any type of way. He was
No
just
one ever
down
takes
for it.
it like that. They just like the last time we had a relationship where they was meeting the guy very fast. It's the same thing, but like these guys, they take it in stride. That would be a lot to walk in on a sister and the mom, like or
Especially if the
that.
mom is Big Dee Dee. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's definitely a lot. But he took it well, and I liked his little spiel he gave her. That shut her up real quick, especially the mention of
yeah,
affluence. I love
yep.
affluence, so he does seem like a good guy because I guess we're trained by sitcoms. I kept expecting some horrible thing. I do remember, some things of what we see later with him, but I was just waiting for this big horrible thing that he was going to do because that's just how
I was
sitcoms
too.
are. And he's a great guy. He didn't do anything.
Yep.
And
I
even
was too.
later on, he really didn't do anything when we see him again. It's just, wrong timing. So great. Because
But again,
even
this show does that great where like most sitcoms will do this thing, so you're expecting this thing, and then this show will go left with it and have you completely thrown off. So again, I
exactly.
appreciate that they did that.
And I think it's the actor as well. He's able to play that so well. And as Ted on Beyond the Gates, spoiler if you haven't seen the 200 something episodes that are out, but a big storyline in the show is that he had an affair like 30 years ago and the woman got pregnant and nobody ever knew until they came back to town and tried to ruin his life. But
Mm.
even though he did that, he still is like a nice guy in the show that you kind of want to root for and that you kind of feel bad. No other show can I think of where somebody did some shit like that. And I'm not just washing my hands of them instantly. I'm like, you
Right.
know what? He's an okay guy. And I don't know if that, played a part in the recasting because it doesn't appear it was the old Ted's choice to leave.
Mm.
But had they kept old Ted, who I liked old Ted, that's who I started with. I
Right.
don't know if I would have been as sympathetic to him though, the way that he played the character. I probably would have had the typical like, hey, this asshole cheated on his wife or whatever. But new Ted, Ted 2, he just something about him, it makes you want to root for him. And you really see that in Neil. Not that he really
Yeah.
did anything that bad, but I was on Neil's side the whole time. He walked that line well. He never
Yeah.
overstepped with Mona. He never disparaged Dee Dee. He was just a good guy. And I think that's just part of Keith's persona, because even following him on Instagram and he's making videos or whatever, he just seems like a nice guy. And
Yep.
I think it shows in the character. And I wonder if that is what they originally had in mind for him to really come off like this nice guy, or if it just kind of developed once he was cast in the role. I don't know.
I
You
mean, I
tell me,
assume
Mr. Writer, when you
it's
write
probably good
characters.
casting. I assume they probably conceived it like this, and that's why he got the role because he's able to walk that line, like you said, and just come off as so likable. Again, similar to Merlin we were talking about last time, where it's just like it's a very thin line to walk that line, and like to be able to do that and just always be likable and have us rooting for you is just a shout out to his acting talents. Like he's got the chops.
Because on
And like you
paper,
said, some of
we
it's in
shouldn't
his
like him.
DNA.
Like
Yeah.
Neil should not. He should be an asshole. He should be like a Braxton from Jamie Foxx type character, just on paper. But
Especially
he is
like when
not
you
like
come
that.
in off top, you like being a jerk to the waiter. Like initially, we probably wouldn't like you, but again, like because of how he portrayed it, one, I'm thinking like, okay, he's doing this for her because we know she's
Mhm.
like that. Like you said, it was a callback, so we might assume that he's doing it for her. But even if we don't remember that, everything after that was just so nice and chill that like it didn't really affect my view on him.
Yeah, gotta love Neil. He doesn't get enough attention. People are too focused on Lorenzo and Chase because of how things ended. But Neil was a good guy too.
Was
And then we see the big reveal that Mona not only knows him, because at first it's just, oh, I gotta go, and it's obvious that they know each other. But then later on we find out that, I mean, this was a lot of reveals. One, you know her. Two, you dated. Three, you took her virginity. That's a lot.
No, that's a lot. I don't know. Like honestly, it would have been done for me after all of those points. Like that's a lot to continue to follow after somebody dated they senior year, which is like a magical time you always remember that feels special, and then they took your virginity. Like that's something that like you will literally never forget. So to try to come after that as her sister and like create your own relationship with this person, it's a lot to follow. I'd be done.
And as you call it on your show, Act Your Age, which Valerie was in that episode, they're Pogo sisters.
Yep.
So I mean, that's a little, I don't know if they're Pogo half sisters, but
Right.
that's a little much. And then Mona makes it seem at first like it was so long ago. If Mona is 25, that was like, what,
Right.
7 years ago? That's
It's
not
not
that long
it's
at
not
all.
long enough for me. I
Like,
can see like if they was in their 40s or something, then I'd be like, all right, whatever, girl. That was a long y'all was kids. But it's not even a decade later.
that was
What do we
today, that would be like, oh, right before the pandemic, basically. So
right?
that doesn't seem that long ago that I had to
No.
wipe down everything that came in the house when I would go to Target. In fact, that I was going to Target shows you how long ago that was actually. But I, and again, despite I'm sure I've seen this like 8 times, but it's all brand new to me. And in that video I posted from my TikTok from 2 years ago, I mentioned how I don't watch it a lot because I want to forget what happens, and clearly that
Right.
works. But originally I was thinking Mona really felt that way, but then I realized she just telling herself that. She don't believe that shit.
Right.
So she knew well, damn well, but she tried. I appreciate that she tried to not
Yeah.
ruin things. If you were Dee
The
Dee, would you still have wanted to date him even with her blessing?
Well, even with the blessing was great, but then what made it also weird was like the specific. She gave too much details, like talking about like how her dress wouldn't be on the right side before they went. She was like, make sure your dress is on the right side out before you go to Denny's. Like, so we would know that she'll be returning home and her dresses was inside out. And she talked about carrying her panties and all kind. It was just so much details to where like I would not be able to
And a
move
picnic
forward.
table?
Like it was way too many specifics for me to to forget.
That's questionable at best.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would be able to share someone in that way. That might be a little much for me. And also, I'm curious about his past because, he appears to be affluent like Dee Dee is, but if he went to high school with Mona, then he probably isn't. So did he just work
Mm,
his way up? They never really addressed that, I don't think. And I like the fact that they grew up in the same city because they really didn't have to. It really wouldn't have made that much of a difference. But because
right.
they did, we're able to have these connections in the background. And I don't, know if I've mentioned it a lot on this podcast, maybe, but my husband and I know a lot of mutual people and, went to the same barbershop as kids and, all this stuff where I'm sure we probably had to have crossed paths and just didn't realize it. So, as unbelievable as it may sound that she went to high school with him, it's really not that unbelievable. Like, we have mutual friends and didn't even know each other existed. So, this could definitely happen that,
Yeah.
she would be with them now. I don't know. I don't think they mentioned how they met. Well, I missed a lot,
He was an
clearly.
investment banker. He was an
Oh,
invest.
okay. And I watched
Yeah.
that today. Yet so many things, lines and stuff you're saying, I'm like, I didn't hear that. So I don't know what I'm
Yeah.
doing. Maybe I'm so focused on taking notes that I'm not paying attention. So maybe I need to start watching it twice. I really was expecting for Phyllis to do one of her, you know what I'll tell you? I'll tell you what I told you. She's stealing your man just like her mama stole mine. There I
Yeah.
was flying off to Acapulco, but surprisingly, that's not what we got. I really was waiting for that because that's kind of what this is. And it's also similar to the pilot with the bug guy, and also the second episode with the bug guy, with them, kind of swapping guys. I don't know if we see a lot more of this, but it doesn't necessarily feel recycled, but it is also like, damn, didn't we just do this? Maybe that's something we're just gonna
I
have
mean,
to
I
deal with.
guess you in your 20s, you young, you dating a lot, so similar stuff gonna happen a lot of the times. And maybe, it was
Perhaps.
their way of kind of like again that old sitcom thing of just like repeating something that happened in those first few episodes because you're not catching it every week without a way to record it and or stream it like
Mhm.
we can now. So you might have missed one of those dating episodes. So now you get the vibes.
And this happens a lot on TV. I don't know if this happens as much in real life as far as the dating thing. Like, has this happened with you and a friend or a relative or anything where you're dating somebody that somebody else dated? I don't know if this happens like that for real.
No, I think the only time this happens like that for me is I think college because it's just such a like a closed like
Well,
community of
maybe college, I
people
can
and
see
like
that.
you're
Or
going
high
to see the
school,
same.
maybe. But
Yeah,
other than
like
that, I don't
yeah.
know. Anybody out there
And
listening, if you've done this, let us know at the big half and half podcast at gmail.com. I think that's what the email is.
that's
But
right.
this episode, it took 13 minutes practically to see Phyllis. I don't like that. 13 minutes to see
Yeah,
Telma. And that was pretty much the only scene she had. Y'all
and
better
it
put some
wasn't a lot of
respect
her. Yeah,
on Miss Telma Hopkins. Like, Mr. TV professional, is there like, is this usually a contract thing or whatever, where it's like I have to have this many lines or this many scenes, or is it just we can do whatever as long as you're on the call sheet and you're not getting your checks prorated, we are not required to have you in at any certain amount?
I think that's really what it is. I think they didn't need her to push this storyline forward because they was focused on the two sisters, so they just had her chime in. And since they had her, she getting paid anyway, so they're like, okay, well, how can we work her in, and we're gonna use her for something, but they just
Maybe
didn't need her
they
for too
they
much.
do it on purpose because they know we're waiting for it. So they just like, you gonna have to keep waiting. Because every scene I was like, is it
Maybe
gonna be Phyllis? Is it gonna be Phyllis? And
right.
nothing. Teases you. But
It was a real quick moment, but it was cool to see both the moms was on the same page. So like both of the sisters talked to their moms, and both of the moms told them the same thing. Like, girl, let that man go. It's about the sisters and the sisterhood. And like Big Dee Dee made it real clear. Like you said, you're trying to get closer to your sister. This is not going to be helpful to that. So focus on your sister, not this man. And Phyllis kind of said the same thing to her daughter. So when they see each other and realize they're on the same page, they didn't really like that, which was really funny to see.
and they really didn't have a real read exactly, but they did do their "Ugh," which kind of
Yeah,
became their thing. They
yeah.
did it a few times, and I remember when Half and Half started airing on TV One, Telma and Valerie did little bumpers, and they did it in that too as a
Oh, that's
nice little
cute.
callback. So again, they probably didn't expect that to be a recurring thing, but it just worked and they kept doing it. But aside from the fact that they agreed, I was just shocked that they both gave good advice at all because they
Yeah,
typically don't. And as Telma says on her podcast, we're good for giving you some bad advice. So I definitely was feeling that with Phyllis. So I was like, wow, even though she's a therapist, I'm like, oh, great, good
right.
job, Phyllis. For once, you gave some decent advice.
I was
And
shocked too.
maybe Big Dee Dee's advice was good because she was sober, because there was no that alcohol that she wanted. I looked it up. I was expecting it to be super expensive. It's really not. Maybe I'll buy a bottle and give it a try. But they, get into that more so down the line of her being a little addict. But this
Right.
is like the beginnings of seeing that, which again, I don't know why a lot of the rich women characters, they have wigs, they like to drink, they pop pills. Maybe that's just what real rich women do.
I
Shame
mean,
I'll never know.
rich
But
rich people in general is not too far off.
This was the first mention we hear of Big Dee Dee's evil sister Vivian. She didn't call her evil this time, but that's of
Yeah,
course where I got my reference from the beginning of this episode about the death threats. The fact that her sister is sending her death threats is
crazy.
hilarious and unhinged. But this is maybe the only time that we see Dee Dee showing any real remorse about her relationship. Because usually when she brings her up, she doesn't seem to really care that they don't talk. But
Yeah,
that's the whole reason. And I really do feel like they did want us to meet her at some point. And as we discussed before, I think I said Jennifer Lewis would have been a great Vivian.
yeah,
Not just the fact that they bring her up a lot, but the way that they make it seem like there's unfinished business, there's more to do
yeah,
here. Just, I feel robbed. I'll have to put that on my list of things to ask Yvette Lee Bowser
yeah,
if we ever would have seen Evil Sister Vivian. But yeah, they both were being good moms. Maybe this was them saying, okay, we can't have them acting up every episode. We got to show them give some
yeah,
actual decent
yeah.
advice for once.
Yep. Got to show the balance and again remind us that they can be amazing moms when they want to be when
Mm.
they're not in their own feelings.
Right. Even though she did, yeah, Phyllis did mention how she is obsessed with hating Charles. She didn't say I'm obsessed with Charles. I'm obsessed with hating him,
Yeah.
which at least she admits it. And in listening to Telma's podcast, she was saying, some of her characters that remind her of herself. I really thought she was going to say Phyllis, but she said Rachel from Family Matters and Maybelle from Family Reunion are the characters that she thinks are most like her. And that in her other roles, she channels people she knows, like, or have known, like her mom, her grandma, her aunts. So now, from hearing her talk about her grandmother, I think her name was Bernice, a lot on the podcast and how sassy she was. Now I'm
Right.
watching Phyllis, like, is Phyllis your grandmama? The grandma is the baby. I think that's who she's channeling a little bit, which is interesting. When we do see Phyllis kind of wrecking shop and going off, that maybe that's who she was pulling from. But maybe when she does that little switch, when she's doing the little calm voice, maybe that's channeling Tilma. But yeah, they meet in the hallway.
It was a really good moment. I just like I said, them being the little moment.
A classic. And I was trying to remember if they met in the hallway before. If not, maybe this is what kicked off them being doing more of that. They might have. I don't know if it was them alone in the earlier time we saw it,
Yeah, they
but
definitely have, but I don't remember if it
just
was
the
alone. It
two of
did
them
feel
that
like
really became a thing, and maybe this is what
yeah,
kicked it off, having that little interaction of those two. But yeah, like you said, they both were like, what's more important, your sister or a man? Now, if I was the one that really wanted to keep the person that I'm dating, I don't know if I would have gave a damn about my siblings at that point, but that's just me. And maybe that's why I'll be getting fruitcakes and death threats. But, I mean,
it also just goes to show once again, like Big and Little Dee Dee really wants to get close to her sister, like, and she's
eh,
willing to like do whatever she has to
sisters
do
come and go, but how often will you find a man that's going to drop that kind of money on you up front?
in a couple of weeks.
You can get more siblings, but
We don't know what
um,
Charles got going on out there. It's gotta be another half sibling somewhere.
I mean, that is my idea for the reboot, and the half sibling is me, Yvette Lee Bowser. Half and half and half,
I love it.
or one and three quarters. I don't know. I'm not great at math, but they both kind of switch it up because then Mona turned around and changes her mind later on, and Dee Dee's getting whiplash. But I do appreciate that Dee Dee was willing to break it off after that conversation because a lot of people would not be. And even though I do drag her a little for being self-centered, Dee Dee at the end of the day typically chooses Mona. She chooses
Yeah.
her relationship, her sister wanting to work on these things, and that's beautiful.
And I did not, again, having not seen it in a little while, think it was going to go that way because when Mona started running into Neil in the hallway, they had several like really good
Yeah.
moments. Like the first moment was like really short and it was just like a sweet little subtle moment. And then they ran into each other again with Dee Dee after they had been working out. So he's sweating and he ain't got no shirt on. His chest is chesting. And then she was looking and like you could see the vibes and like see that she started to like ogle him a little bit and was like getting into it. And then they had another conversation, and they shared some moments about the past and whatnot. Then he helped her with the groceries, so we could see him being a gentleman. And then she got close when he helped with the groceries and let him in. She could smell his cologne. She's like, "Oh, you still wear the same cologne?" So then that hit for her. So I was like, "Oh yeah, this girl, she gonna be done."
Yeah,
But
it was real intimate settings on those stairs, which somebody had commented a clip on TikTok. They were saying, I never noticed how steep those stairs are. They are. You going up to yonder on them damn steps.
yeah,
But they were just sitting there gazing into each other's eyes, and I was expecting a little kiss or something because it was
something.
real like, okay, this is here's the line.
Yeah,
Okay, Neil, you're not Ted yet, so
watch
don't
it.
don't be
Right,
doing that.
right.
But he was still respectful. And
Yep.
Lana, like, I understand how she felt, but she was acting like she was going to date him now, which would not be an option regardless. So what's the
Right.
point? And
He
if
did because
she,
when they talked, he did make it real clear, yeah, we had a good time. Like he never threw any like flirty future optimistic
he
lines
let
in
her down
there.
nicely
Yeah, yeah,
with a little opportunity for maybe more. But even if he was into it, she couldn't date him. That just couldn't happen. So what do you want from this moment? I think in that moment she realized I don't know what the hell I want or what I'm doing. So why
yeah,
am I doing this?
yeah.
Because she really was acting like they're about to date, like he's gonna break up with Dee Dee and now we're gonna be together. No, no,
Right,
girl, that's not gonna happen. And
right.
I think we missed earlier, we see Adam again, I think the second time when they were kind of talking about this back
Yeah, I
at
was really happy about that.
Delicious. And it's interesting how they play him and, always coming on to Spencer. And the only reason I'm okay with it is because I'm going to assume that they were trying to show Spencer how he makes everyone else feel. And
Yeah,
now you understand consent, and not
yeah,
because they're trying to make Adam seem like the stereotypical gay man that wants all the straight men. But
yeah,
Spencer does live in San Francisco and is very buff and hangs around only women. So, it can be assumed that maybe he is into that. I don't know, but not appropriate at the workplace. Kai Owens, where are you? Where's HR? Where's Loretta Devine, who was the boss at some point? Because that's not
yeah.
appropriate. The whole
But that,
scene where she's kind of talking it out with Spencer and rubbing his head. I don't know what that was about.
yeah,
She has the realization. I think that was when she first realized that she's not over it.
yep.
And Spencer could have done a better job to talk her out of it. Do you feel like, as the friend, that it's your responsibility to talk your friends down, or sometimes you just got to let them figure it out?
In my 20s when I was around their age, I would have tried to talk them out. Now, I done been through so many situations where you try to tell them one way and then they go the other way, and then they blame it on you, and then they end up going the way you went that you told them to go in the first place. But
Mm.
now it's already too late because they done been mad at you, so they can't be unmad at you because they embarrassed themselves. I done did that too many times, so now, hey, I'm gonna let you do what you do. I'm gonna throw you a little bit of soft advice and a little whatever, but like I ain't gonna force feed it to you. If you ain't gonna pay attention to the obvious, you ain't gonna pay attention, and I'm gonna let you learn. But yeah, at that age, I would have had a more in-depth conversation.
I mean, because I feel like I'm often right and give wonderful advice and, just try to share that with the world. I don't know if I'm not even gonna say I don't know. I could not just not say anything. I would have to
Yeah,
say something. Now, when I was younger, I might have, you know, tried to drive it home a little more. Now I'm just like, hey, this is what I'm seeing. This is what's going on.
yeah,
Take what you will from it. But
right.
that does not always get well received, even if it turns out that you were right. It's almost like they kind
Yeah,
of get mad when you were right.
yeah.
So, there are
Almost
times where
worse.
I have had to just step back and be like, okay, do you fuck your life up, do whatever you want to
Yep,
do, because then
yep.
you're a hater when you're not supporting horrible decisions.
Right.
But I've had to learn to sometimes just let people fuck shit up and do what you got to do. I mean, hey, that's what happened with my last podcast co-host. But I digress. I I think that Spencer could have said something, but he
Yeah.
also probably knew it wouldn't have made a difference because he knows how
Yep.
Mona is. So he was just trying to ride it out until she came to the conclusion on her own.
Yep.
And, she did talk to Phyllis about it. So she had somebody. Adam was not interested at all, even though later on he becomes very nosy and invested in everything.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, Adam was very much about himself only
He
and wasn't
literally
going
doesn't give a damn about anything. Like even the phone is ringing. He's
to,
like,
yeah,
"Hey, they'll call back.
no
They always
fucks
do."
given.
I was like, "Damn, you,
But
sir."
also, I feel that as someone who used to work at Venmo, and we could see the call queue, and it would be like
Yep.
300 or whatever. I'm like, hey, yeah, whatever.
Yep.
I'm clocking
I,
out.
Right. I thought that was hilarious. He was like, "Yo, don't worry about it. They'll call back. They always do."
So later on, we see them back at Lush Lounge, their favorite place to dine. And it seems as if Dee Dee is about to break up with his ass for her
Yeah.
sister. And then here comes Kool-Aid Thorne busting up. I
Hmm.
mean, it's a public place, but damn, why you all up on the table like
But
that?
just the bus in, like, just so close to the table, like, bro,
Like,
like again, I guess again, like this is the fun. I just recently saw something about this online where like there's so much fun you used to be able to have in sitcoms before cell phones were invented.
true.
Because like now with cell phones, you would have just sent a text, or you would have done this a completely different way. But back then, the only way to approach it was to bust in on the table and to pull on up, and then to awkwardly make the situation weird and pull her to the side and make a whole scene about it. But now it would have just been like a quick little text, or you would have called, and then they would have just walked away from the table, and it would have been a boring scene. But the fun we used to be able to have on sitcoms without cell phones ruining everything, making
Maybe
things
that's
too
an
convenient.
incentive for writers to make these shows that are set in different time periods so they can get
Yeah,
to do that type of fun stuff. Only way it can be present day, maybe if it's about Amish people, but I don't
right.
know. So I do think yeah, that would not have happened. And we really don't see them texting ever. I think the most we see is season 4 when Mona starts her little blog online, which if the
Right.
show was on today, she probably just got on TikTok. So
Right.
yeah, that I guess that was necessary to a degree, but she was like right at the damn table
Yeah.
and very invasive. But shockingly, Dee Dee actually got up and went to talk to her. And, they kind of hashed it out. I would not have believed Mona, though. I would have been like, yeah, whatever. We're going to be right back at this again.
Same.
But for whatever
You've been
reason,
too wishy washy at this point. I'm not trying to go flip flop with you. I'm cool.
I think she was just thirsty to be with him. So she was like, good, I can finally do it and you're not gonna make a big deal about it. And, they moved on, they let it go. And it is interesting how we see this play out when he does return. But at the end, we're back at Delicious Records, which sometimes I feel like they just want to use the set because we really didn't have to be at Delicious at all ever in this episode. But they were like, we got it. Just bring it out. Why not? So basically, they're kind of done with the situation for the most part. That scene is really just kind of to return to the whole Adam wants Spencer thing. And he
Yeah.
has the fake dog and all of that and wanting a hug. And he's like, get away from me, man. But again, how do you like it, Spencer? Not so
Yeah.
fun when the rabbit got the gun. So
Exactly. I loved it just for that purpose of, like you said, it's a little bit of him getting his own a taste of his own medicine. So I
mhm.
appreciated it. Hopefully, again, that was the reason why they did it, and it wasn't the stereotypical reason. I give them the benefit of the doubt on this show because they usually do go left when most shows will go right. So I assume it was just so we could watch Spencer have to deal with the stuff he dishes out, which makes it hilarious for me.
And do you feel that part of why Half and Half does not get the recognition that it deserves, one, because it's a lot more wholesome than other shows at that time? Like Girlfriend was a lot more raunchy, but it also wasn't super wacky like the Parkers, and a lot of people
Right.
like one or the other. And do you think the fact that they did go left when others would go right is a part of that? Because people like to be fed the same predictable stuff over and over that they know they're going to see, and they don't want
Yeah.
to deviate from that. Do you think that is a contributing factor?
I think that might be a contributing factor, honestly. Because I don't see anything that differentiates it outside of the things you just said. So that's got to be it. Is like people just are so used to the predictability of it all that that's the trap that they fall into. I don't know.
I mean,
I mean, outside of Girlfriends, what would you say the most watched UPN show of that era is?
probably the Parkers. I don't know if
Yeah,
Moesha still counts because it started a little earlier,
it was a little.
but
Yeah, I would put that in a different era.
then like one on one, I think is different because it has kids on it. So
Right.
but even then, they were more raunchy than half and half the time, Arnez and Brianna.
Yeah, the whole
So
thing about Arnaz was he was trying to get some the whole time.
right.
Talk about horny people, like
Like there, that was very much a Mona and Spencer relationship if they had been friends as teens, I guess.
right.
But except he actually got to be with Brianna.
Except for
But
yeah,
I think, yeah, like the other shows, most of them kind of came and gone overall. But I do think that with black people, they're quick to call something corny
Hmm.
unfortunately, if it is not, you know, a certain type of program. And
Hmm.
I think that that unfortunately makes a lot of shows not last or get the recognition because people, for whatever reason, for like if it's a black show, it has to be this, has to be that. Like if you look
Right.
at Martin, Martin, a lot of sexual stuff, a lot of wacky stuff, a
Right.
little more urban, as they say. So with Half and Half, they're pretty middle class and upper middle class. So I think that's another thing because it's like either you got to be like the Evans family or you got to be, the Huxtables. But even
Yeah.
though, the Thorns are pretty rich, we don't see a whole lot of that. They do still seem for the most part just like middle.
Right.
And I don't know why. I guess a lot of black people feel like they can't relate. Maybe I don't know. Black people listening, let us know. Why do you think Half and Half doesn't
Now
get
that you mention it, I also do think it is harder for shows of a certain when the leads are a certain age. There's a reason why
Mhm.
most shows do have like an adult and a parent, so like people can tap in from different generations. And a lot of their shows, I think on UPN did have like at least some like teenager element involved outside of Girlfriends. But I think Girlfriends was a little older than these, so like that 20 something show is a demographic that honestly still to this day like people kind of fear. I think especially with black leads, it's like a very weird time because it's not hyper specific. You don't know exactly what it is. It isn't just like a parent and their kid or this certain like you're super professional and living in your 35 era of your life and like doing that whole thing. It's like your 20s is such a weird mix of things. So some and also that audience is usually so busy. Like the audience that will connect with it the most are the people who are out living their lives. So that's also why it's hard to get these shows to work because
Yeah,
those people,
I think
especially
people
back
don't
then.
know.
So I think what it is sometimes with the shows of when like the main leads are like 20 something is like it's hard for to connect to that demographic of audience, which this still happens to this day. Like there are a lot of execs that are afraid to do shows where the leads are all like in their 20s because that demographic of people, they outside living the lives that would be portrayed on that show. They outside dating, they outside in school, in college, like Dee Dee, like they're busy doing all of these things. So especially back then when you couldn't just watch it later, like when streaming, like if you had to catch it to build that audience was not catching it when it was released because they was outside living life. So I think that also could be something that may have hurt the show. Is like it's different when the show has kids because like the teenagers like on you Moesha or have or on one on one, the kids of that age are in school, so you have that structure of a life where you can watch a show at 8 o'clock on a Monday or whatever because you at home. But when you in your 20s, you're outside dating as much as they are, doing all the things. So sometimes the audience just misses out on it.
Yeah, I think a lot of shows with that age group as, the main characters are very like preachy or, have to have like some special lesson, not necessarily in a bad way, like A Different World became quite preachy, you know, and this just wasn't that type of show. It just really is not the typical anything because there's not a lot of shows where it's a family show, but there's no
Hmm.
kids, but nobody's married, but it's not about their job. Like it really does not fit into a box like most shows do. And I've never heard anyone say, I don't like Half and Half. That show is
Right.
boring. I just hear people say they don't know what it is.
Right, because
That's
even
pretty
like you
much
mentioned,
it.
like a different world, like you're like, okay, that's a college show. So like, boom, am I in college? I'm supposed to watch this show. I know how to pitch this show. I know who to target to watch this show. I can go to the colleges and promote this show. But like, how do you promote a show? Like you said, it's just about 20 somethings just living. Like there's nothing specific about it really, outside of just being in your 20s and like you said, just trying to get reacquainted with your sister and just living life.
Because there really isn't anything like this. The closest I can think of maybe is Twins from the WP, but it's still not quite the same. And so many other shows, not in a bad way, are very similar. All the family shows, like that joke they would always say, fat guy, hot wife. Like there's so many shows like that. Or
Yeah.
even, like Golden Girls, Hot in Cleveland, act your age. There's a lot of, not a lot, but there's a few shows of, groups of friends of women of a certain age.
Right.
So you can group those together. But there's nothing I would really group with half and half. Like Girlfriends, you can say Designing Women, Living Single, Golden Girls again, Sex and the City. But there's really not anything like this. And I think maybe
Yeah.
it's just too ahead of its time. I don't know. If it was on today, I can't even think of where I would place it on any schedule anywhere because it
Yeah.
just is its own thing. I don't know. It would have to be on like Hulu or something, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's not for, lack of writing, lack of acting, lack of anything. It's just people like to be force fed the same slop, so to speak. And no shade to Tyler Perry, because I will definitely be watching Beauty in Black, but a lot of his shows are very similar. And I
Yeah.
watched this 4-hour video about Tyler Perry somebody made, and they were
I
saying
didn't watch the whole
how,
video, but I saw it.
you know what I'm talking about, and they were saying how a lot of his audience, they just like to see the same type of stuff. Doesn't matter the quality, doesn't matter anything. Like, House of Pain has come back with like another 200 something episodes that are probably
Yeah.
just like the ones from the original, from the clips that I've seen, because I watched the original. It's
Right.
the same thing, the Meet the Browns versus assisted living. It's the same show. So I think people are just set in their ways of this is what I like. That's all I want to see. And half fits in no mold. And the world wasn't ready. I was ready, but the world was.
Same. Agreed.
But yeah, really passionate about this, aren't we? But hey, this is our thing. We got a podcast about it. We got to be into it. Um,
Facts.
so after all of that, what rating would you give it? I guess a five, the way we're raving.
I mean, it was pretty hot for me. Like I didn't again, like this episode could have gone so many stereotypical ways, and it did not. And it was very unpredictable the whole time. And I have very little complaints. I don't even know why it's not a five. I just feel like that's too high of a standard to just
Yeah,
I don't
gotta
know.
be
I don't have any
perfect.
reasons. Yeah, like I just can't say like it did all. Maybe I needed. I mean, obviously we could have used some more Big Dee Dee. That would have helped. Some more Phyllis. That would have
That
helped.
always helps me.
So I mean, I guess that'll be the reason why I nick it a little bit. So I'm gonna give it a 4.5 though. It was
I'll do
really good.
4.5 mics as well. I feel like I need little mic graphics to pop up,
Yeah,
adding more work for myself. But I would probably say 4.5. Do you think it would have made a difference for the audience? And since we were talking about, why it didn't get enough traction, even though it was one of the higher rated shows, it just does not
yeah.
get talked about. Do you think it would have helped if they played their ages, Mona and TD, and not
Mm.
25 and what, 22?
I think it would have again because I just think it changes like the mindset of the people who are watching it. Like, but I think it's just so hard to be like I'm 22 and to get other 22. You also just I'll be honest, you're such an asshole at 22. Like most of us,
Mhm.
we're not good people. So
You ain't got
it's
to
just
tell me. I mean,
yeah. So
Rachel True
it's
blocked
hard.
me for a reason on Twitter.
Exactly,
So,
exactly. So it's hard to just connect with people out here doing good things and trying to be good people who are learning lessons, trying to better themselves when we're in an age, a stage of our lives where we're not really trying to do that. We're just out here being selfish and trying to do whatever benefits us,
mm,
and we're not really that concerning or caring. So I think it's hard for that
empathy was
reason.
not a thing, but
Exactly, and
which
then
maybe
and
I
to
should
have
give
the
them more
parents,
grace on how they act
right?
because they way more mature than I was. But I'm wondering again, more questions for Yvette Bowser. Were they auditioning actresses that were that actual age? And they were just like, y'all is so good. We just gonna, and you look like you could be that young. So we're just gonna say that. Or I wonder if, there was some flexibility with that. Maybe not, because I guess that would have ruined the whole I'm moving here to go to college thing. But they could
Yeah.
have just said, I got a good job and I'm moving back here. So I wonder if there was ever a discussion of aging them up, or if that would have been too unbelievable because Thelma and Valerie are far too young. But I'm curious if the age was like a real important thing because it's not really like it really doesn't play a big part like
I,
that.
I I do think if you age them up though, then you have to like excuse the parentals busting in all the time because I think that's a little more excusable in
I
your young
mean, Ray
20s.
Barone would like to have a word with you about that. So I
Sure,
don't know.
but again, that's two different. I think you have to really age them up because I think if you're either like an adult with kids and then that happens, or like you're very young and that happens. But again, like, there's like a middle ground where like you should this should not be a thing. Like if I ain't got no kids and I'm 35 years old, why are you busting in my apartment?
Fran Fine would like to have a word with you. Which that I never thought about it. That is a very good, representation, I guess, of this dynamic. More so maybe Phyllis and Mona, not just because they're Jewish, but Fran and Sylvia is that same energy very much. When am I
Yeah,
gonna get grandkids? Why are you not with this man already? Very, very similar, I must
yeah.
say. So yeah, I think maybe they needed to be 25 for it to work the way they wanted. But if they had been older, maybe people would have, I don't know, felt different. Because it just, I don't know what it is. Like I could not see Dee Dee and Mona kicking it with Joan and Lynn and Tony and Maya. Like they just seem like they're in totally different universes for some
Yeah.
reason to me. And
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Just that's something. But I guess
I really
maybe
think
like
the parentals add a different element to the show. Like if you take the moms away, who we would never do that, but if you did do that and you maybe added more Adam or Spencer and maybe show their lives more, and those are the B stories or something like that, like I think then it becomes a different type of show that maybe just like easier for people to comprehend because like you said, then it's more stereotypical and goes with more of what people are used to.
yeah, I suppose this is definitely like if we had Living Single with Regine and Khadijah's mom and they were there all the time, then I
Right,
guess you would just have half and half at that point.
right.
So, this is also one of the rare shows where the parents are main characters and not just either a side character or just coming in on holidays or whatever. Because so many shows build stuff up around, the wacky parents, but you rarely see them. So to see them every
Exactly.
day on the show, that's something as well. But
Yeah, it's a very different
I don't
dynamic.
know. I don't know, Jeffrey Cleric, if you're still out there, we'd love to hear more about that from you as well. And just, what little things really made a difference in the creation of the show and what they had in mind versus what just came to be. Because you never really know until you hear the behind the scenes, and then you're shocked to hear,
Hmm.
like, what's his name? He played Waldo, Geraldo, Faldo. What is his real name? Sean, I think is his
Sean
name.
Harrison?
Sean, I was gonna say Sean Harris. Yes, him.
Yeah.
He was on Tillman's podcast talking about how he got that role and how I think he had said he didn't really take it seriously because he had auditioned so much that he was like, whatever. And that's when they picked him.
Yeah,
But
he kind of. I listened to that episode a lot. First of all, I'm a huge Sean fan. We both follow each other on Insta. Shout out to Sean. So he's like a hilarious person. So I've listened to that podcast so fast. And yeah, he said like he just a lot of times actors will like it's hard to describe it. Like you take it too serious and you get in your head about it. But he said because he didn't care because he had auditioned for the
mhm.
show like 3 or 4 times at that point for different characters. I think he even might have said he auditioned to be Steve at one point. But like so by the time they asked him to audition for the new guy, he was the Waldo guy. He was just like he threw it away because he didn't care. So like it was like something frivolous in the way that he threw the lines away. That's why he was like, what you talking about? What we gonna do that, Willie? Like he just like just threw
Like
all
the,
the
the
lines
whole
away
way that Waldo talks is only because he did that audition, not really
because he
caring
did
about
not
it,
care. So
which
like the
is
way that he didn't care
hilarious.
was hilarious to the casting people, and that's what worked and got him
Well,
the role that we know him for.
an actor friend of mine who's been in a couple of things always says, you got to come out here because the way you just don't be caring about stuff, they would love you. So I don't care about anything, Hollywood, hire me. But
Yeah,
that just makes me wonder like what within Half and Half was done a certain way just because of the person playing it, and that is not what they had in mind. Or even like
right,
Golden Girls, they wanted Betty White to be Blanche and for Rue McClanahan to be Rose because they played similar characters before. But
right.
the characters would have been so different. They would have still been
Hmm.
funny, I'm sure, but they would have been so different. So I just
Yeah.
always wonder, and I'm just so curious what in Half and Half would be different. And I hope to one day find out. Event Leap, I
Well,
was
that's a bet. One of these
yeah,
days.
one of these days, or maybe if you run into Mr. Thorne at the grocery store again, you can ask him something. But yeah, obviously, we love Half and Half, if you can tell, but I think we've exhausted the topic. I don't know why this episode brought out so much
Me neither.
discussion on the show, but I'm here for it. And maybe, who knows, by the time this comes out, perhaps we would have had Keith Robinson grace us with his presence, and we can throw that at the end of this episode. I'm putting that out there, manifesting. And if it's not in this episode, maybe he's going to be in the ones where he comes back. We'll see.
Exactly.
But yeah, I love the show. It's amazing. Would it be weird if I started crying because I loved it so much? That would be really weird, but maybe it would help. Maybe it would help get somebody on here. So let me muster up some
Hey,
tears.
people love tears. Tears always go viral. Tears are going viral all the time.
Man, if I could crown Q. But yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. And you've made it all the way to episode 8. Only 80 something left. Hello, and welcome to the Big Half and Half Rewatch podcast, the podcast where every year you can count on a fruitcake and a death threat as we rewatch the UPN sitcom Half and Half that aired from 2002 to 2006. I'm Barrett.
Can you hear better now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. The podcast where every year you can count on a fruitcake and a death threat as we rewatch the UPN sitcom Half and Half that aired from 2002 to 2006. I'm Barrett.
Myles.
He's Myles, if you couldn't hear it. I don't know why. We done recorded this like 4 times. So that's Myles, because we moving on. But this episode 8, is the Big Ex-pectations episode.
Hear me now?
Now I
Okay.
can. I don't know why it's just you saying your name.
It's so crazy.
Okay, I'm gonna try one more time.
Yeah.
At least it tickles me every time I say it, so that's fine. The podcast where every year you can expect a fruitcake and a death threat as we rewatch the 2002 to 2006 UPN sitcom Half and Half. I'm Barrett. I don't know why.
I'm getting louder and everything. I'm about to be yelling. Like that's crazy.
I can hear everything else you say, but I cannot hear and I'm Myles. Maybe I'll just say it.
We're gonna try one more time. I'm gonna get. That's nuts.
This will go in the blooper reel when we get our DVDs. Is that a thing? Okay.
Yes.
Why is Half and Half not on DVD? Paramount with all these mergers. Okay.
Right.
Hello and welcome to the son of a bitch. Okay. All right. Okay. Here we go. Where my girls at your age. Okay. Hello and welcome to the Big Half and Half Rewatch podcast, the only podcast where every year you can expect a death threat and a fruitcake. It's a fruitcake and a death threat, damn it. Okay. All right. Here we go. I feel like Oprah. Here we go. She was fucking it up though. But moving on.